Then here we go, and we've got your Mercy. And remind me, what level is this game at?
Like 2450, I think.
Okay, so we've got ourselves a high gold game. Cool. Okay, so we go through here.
In this situation, I was a little bit confused because there was the McCree and then he switched to Widow, and then like I don't know who to pocket at this point, and so I was
Sure.
bouncing around between everyone.
The Widow's not a bad pocket, actually. That might
Really?
seem silly because, like, but she can already do headshots. Well, the truth is, as Widows get better, they will account for what you do in terms of how far they have to charge their shot to still make the headshot work with Mercy. Now, is that happening at 2400 in gold here? Probably not very often, but you should not rule Widow out as a pocket opportunity. And also, hey, having that little bit of healing on her, like Widow, because she now has less health, she's got the reduced health there compared to, previous versions of the game. She is very easy to force out, and she's able to stay more aggressive if she has that Widow, if she has that Mercy hanging out on her. And she's also going to mostly play in places that you're pretty comfortable with, much more so than, say, your Tracer. Pocketing your Tracer isn't really going to be an option. So at this point in time, your Widow, while it might not be your absolute favorite thing, is pretty solid. And if your Widow gets out widowed, guess what? Being right there to res her is a pretty big deal too. So yeah, the answer to your question is Widow.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, there's a Widow on the board, so I'm not in love with this. And you see that the ball is going for that. And this ball slam, fortunately, isn't going to be painful. And where is your Widow? And your Widow is right here where they could do some work. Yeah, so Widow's the answer, but let's see what you do here. Oh boy. And you're just dancing, hoping the Widow doesn't hit you. This isn't really okay. I don't really care enough about our tanks right now to risk your life to go help your tanks. Like, if you needed to, you could maybe go this way, maybe find a better way to do it to like peek them for just an instant and then let the beam continue for its 1.3 seconds. But you definitely can't play on tank on point against this Widow. You definitely need to be lending your strength to someone that you can help. And if you can't go, hey, I'm going to stay on point because there's Reinhardt's on points and things like that, you can't transition through this. Once again, we're back to, I guess I'm crouching here to help my Widow. But that's okay.
Let's get you back out there.
It's not really helping. That's not particularly an aggressively positioned D.Va either. Hopefully you transition to Winston. Good. He's going to jump. You're going to follow him. Unfortunate. That's too deep. You, again, don't really want to pull this far back, because if you pull this far back, I don't know if you know where the Widow was, but before she was here, I don't know if she's still here or not, and if you pull this far back, that's really easy to hit, whereas this was much harder to hit when you were here. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you guys calling where the Widow is? Are you guys calling?
No.
Okay, so you're just hoping that she doesn't hit you for the most part right now.
Yeah.
This is a better place for you. I don't really like that you're even out here. Like, this was a good place for you, and if your tanks are enforcing this decently, you just peek every once in a while to refresh your beam timer, and you sort of play from here. And if you see, oh, someone's doing something over there, you might go to here. But you're mostly, if these tanks don't look like they can force their way down here, you're pretty happy to be right here.
Gotcha.
Okay, good. Kind of staring at that Reaper with the angle open. Okay.
Your survey has arrived.
Yeah, this is just too chaotic in the middle of the fight. Here you are. I get why you want the D.Va. I do. I don't think you need to GA to that at all, though. Let me rephrase that. You didn't need to GA to this at all. Like, your beam reaches. your beam reaches that diva from here without you jumping off the edge, and the beam will stay. It won't stay for the full 1.3 seconds if your diva flies like right over here, but your beam will stretch its range a little bit if your diva just leaves your range a little bit. So like you didn't really want to step off this high ground here to get in the middle of the fight like this. Like, no? Like, this is where your GA effectively ended. And, like, that's objectively not okay. That is objectively not an okay place for a Guardian Angel to end.
Damage boost engaged.
You see her, you're gonna GA past her.
Heroes never die.
Yeah, okay.
Powered up.
Why?
Heroes never die.
Like, they're wraithing, so I get it, but this Tracer, you're not doing anything for this Tracer. Like, not doing anything for this Tracer. You could look if there's something to do over there, or you could stay on these guys. Staying on these guys actually had more value. Turns out your Baby Diva was missing health. Turns out the ball was here. What you were reacting to was, oh, the Reaper Wraith, so I'm going to look for something else to do, and you focused on healing a full health Tracer. But, like, he can Wraith cancel whenever he wants. So, like, until you actually find something better to do, you don't need to release your beam. You can look for better things to do, but you don't need to actually release your beam until you find the better thing to do.
Gotcha.
How knowledgeable are you of where she is? Because, like, you're flying in the open here. Like, you're not using the statue. You're not trying to fly on this. You're not trying to fly on this. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're just sort of in the middle of the point, which, again, there's a Widow, and they're gonna be getting pretty soon to the point. They might not be there quite yet, but you're gonna be pretty close to the point at which the Widows start hitting some shots. You're gonna start having some Widows that are all aim, no brain, that'll hit you.
Let me get you patched up. Damage increase. Healing stream engaged.
Hi there.
You should be at peak performance levels. I've got you.
No. You can't get that res as much as you might like it. I know that the Winston's in the fight, but, like, this isn't really something that you can support because there's not a reasonable place to support it from.
I've got you. Damage.
Like,
and
yes,
down.
you're damage boosting him, and you're damage boosting him as he's cleaving, which, well, as he looks like he's going to be cleaving, which is attractive, but are you super jumping this? Are you going to end up here? Well, I don't even like that because I don't know where the Widow's gone Kree. Okay, so maybe if you're super jumping up to here to do this, maybe if you were like going, hey, I'm going to do this from here, but I just don't think you have a great place to do this from, and Winston's bubble does not provide enough safety to justify you being in here. Better. Yeah. I mean, again, imagine how mellow it would be back here, where your Widow's you're just like sitting here playing solitaire, holding right click. Oh, my Widow went down. Let me press E. You know, I just, but it's a little more complicated than that. You actually, you know, do some pre-healing, but heck.
Immer unterbricht mich jemand bei der Arbeit.
This is confusing. I didn't. Oh, that's why I GA'd. I could see him.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could GA to that. I didn't realize that I peeked him.
Gonna get your Widow. Gonna be damage boosting because the Widow's literally sitting in defense matrix. Gonna see that and go, I could GA up to my Diva, I could GA up to my Widow. Both of those sounds better than being right here right now, but that's okay. This isn't terrible. It's only terrible if you know the Reaper is there, which you should know because you should be looking. Cool. If we're here, we're going to take a check on this angle. Excuse me, McCree, not Reaper. We're going to take a check on this angle because we watch off angles when we're, when we're like this, we take looks at flanks, at off angles enemies could be walking from. This is okay because you have 4 different GA targets available to you, but we did need to check this.
Yeah, I missed that jump through.
Yep.
This will help. Let's get you back out there.
Okay, you can match this.
Heroes
Good.
never die.
You get to play a little more above because they're on the Kree now. The Kree does have high noon, you have to be aware. Great.
Healing stream
Back on
engaged.
damage boost. Damage boost, good. Heals.
You should be at
Wait.
peak
You
performance.
didn't go for the assist
Healing
damage
stream
boost on the
engaged.
remake? Come on now. Come on. No, I'm kidding. You were correct. It's just for the troll factor. You are correct to be healing her during it because you're more likely to, lose Baby Diva. But it's, just like the troll factor of
You should be
looking
at
for a
peak
remake.
performance levels.
Stayed on heals a little too long there.
Let me get you patched up.
Okay. Okay, so you missed your chance to get up here with them, which is disappointing. And that's one of those you just need to sort of be thinking ahead to what's happening type scenarios. Not as good because they just saw you go up here, which tells them someone's up here.
Weapon system optimized.
Okay, you can boost that without looking at that. You can do a quick let me peek away, see how much danger I'm in, and then try to redo this. I don't think you can be able to reacquire this regardless, but you can definitely look away from this. Now you can potentially reacquire, but there's nothing to do there. Oh boy. You can hear it. You can hear the danger. Yeah, unfortunate.
I could use some heat. Damage up.
Okay. Play the edge, fine. Walls, keep walls between you and the opponents. Don't really need to be healing the Diva right now. Damage is fine, damage is preferable. Damage boost your Tracer. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but forces you to that side of the point. This was probably an early cancel on your GA, and the reason this is an early cancel on your GA is you don't really want to be here. You wanted to early cancel your GA so you could actually get yourself over onto this ramp, because the ramp gives you a little more, hey, I can actually go up here and play from over here, this side of the point. You're much happier sort of above this point than you are on this point. And as you can see there, you were basically fully reliant on, hey, I'm in danger. I don't like that I'm here. The only place I can go is into the waiting grasp of, like, a Reinhardt, which is effectively what you did. Like, yes, he didn't step over and swing, but, like, you were like, there's a ball coming at me, and the only place I can go is here. And again, if you'd been up here, that whole problem is mostly solved. Over here, then takes you over here, and that's the only place you can go. When you're playing from here, as long as no one's here, you're happy. When you're playing from here, as long as there's not sightlines there that you have to worry about, and that's much less a problem with the Widow off the table, you're much more happy. Here, your only way out was really, I'm going to super jump this and sort of go up and then float my way back down over here.
Do you need a doctor?
I'm a little surprised that you're not... Okay, there's your baby diva trip.
No one can hide from my sight.
You're not only from this.
Don't you dare.
This will protect us.
Where does it hurt?
Okay, so we've seen some things. Obviously, the big change to this round would be, seriously, you can actually just pay way more attention to your Widow in this round, and the round will go perfectly fine. And your Widow in particular was doing work, and you probably noticed that. It's not like your Tracer was bad, but your Widow was doing work, so there's a decent chance your Widow would have adjusted to the Mercy timing. We don't know, but there's a decent chance that that was the case. But the other thing that's the most obvious in your Mercy play right now is you are willing to put yourself in too much danger. You're willing to put yourself in danger like you did over here. You're willing to put yourself in danger like you did over here. You could have avoided this danger if you'd been faster on your toggle to your Tracer when he was on this half of the point, but you're willing to play on this point too much. Like, you're willing to GA into situations that are rough without great plans. And I think a couple more super jumps would help you with making some of these going in a little less dangerous. So, like, if that's something that you're rusty on, 50-50, 0 out of 100, 75-25, whatever, let's try and upgrade that a little bit. But the reality is, even with super jumps, some of these are just not the greatest situations to get in, and you just have to look at these and go, can I GA in such a way that puts me outside the fight, puts me on something, puts me, at the edge of the fight? Can I GA to something that gives me 3 other good ways to GA out of the fight? Or if I GA into this, are all of my friends right here and I have nowhere to go? Well, I don't want to GA into that if that's the case. Like, I simply don't, and I won't, because I value my life. So those are the 2 biggest things that we're seeing so far, but let's keep going. Do each of those make sense to you?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, good.
Ready for battle.
A giant gorilla! Just like in those old video games!
I get that a lot.
Understood! Connection ongoing.
3, 2, 1.
Hiya! I'm here!
Okay. You have your Kree.
I'm taking care of you.
I mean, do I want to micro
Damage
this?
boost engaged.
Damage boosting, still damage boosting. That's appropriate. Good. He's clearly looking away. He doesn't have a shot. Weave heals. Definitely weave heals. Definitely weave heals. Definitely weave heals. Now he's looking to shoot again. Go damage. Now you can decide that you need to triage and choose to triage him up a little bit. And now you go back to damage until he's here, or you see him reloading, at which point you go back to heals. Okay, I'm probably done microing that. I just want to make sure that you see there is a higher level of beam management. Your beam management is quite good for this level, but I want you to be aware that it exists. Okay. A little slow on the tag over to her.
The objective is now.
Why?
This is not the end. Healing
You don't have to
stream
GA
engaged.
into this to heal your monkey. Like, you can try to reach your monkey, and if you can't reach your monkey, you can hop and slow fall to heal your monkey. Or you can just drop and slow your monkey. Or you can GA and immediately cancel. You're getting closer to this fight than you need to. And there's not a good reason to get closer to this fight when, hey, there's a Ryan and a Zarya over there on the other team.
Thank you.
Forget it on your Reinhardt. Go to your Kree. Damage boost your Kree. Fine. There you go.
Get here. increase.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw it. He's reloading. You want to be healing him. He could have all of his health back before he's shooting again. And you don't need to learn to like catch what every reload animation. I mean, you know what every reload animation looks like, but you don't have to be like eagle eyes on every reload animation immediately. But on some of the heroes that you're more likely to damage boost, that you get pretty good value out of damage boosting, like McCree's, you're gonna want to start working your way into watching for those on those specific heroes.
You should be at peak performance levels.
Yeah, this was definitely somewhat I mean, I don't know that it was definitely somewhat avoidable, but as we're looking at this, you're here, you're doing this,
Great team.
you're still sort of looking at this fight. I don't really like that you're here, that you haven't backed yourself up to back here, by the way, where it's like, hey, or even to in here, either one. This would have its own vulnerability issues and would be bad, but like that you haven't backed yourself up to a place where this isn't threatening you as they're advancing. You would like more cover, but beyond that, hey, this is a thing that's happening. You are pocketing your Kree, but you don't have to stare at your Kree while you're pocketing him. Like, you're going, hey, I am using my staff on my McCree, and that's amazing that I'm using my staff on my McCree, but I get to see his health bar on my screen, and while watching him, I get additional feedback, like, is he in the middle of a reload? Has he closed or opened an angle, which is helpful? I also want to be able to check over here, is there someone who's more important to deal with? At this moment, there's not. But if I saw that shot go right by my Tracer's head, I might decide, nope, I do want to heal that because Ashe has that sight line, and maybe that gets avoided. Am I being super, super critical? Absolutely.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei. Let's get you back out there. I could use some assistance.
Well, I'm disappointed that you didn't frag out there.
Right. I mean, I knew at that point that like the fight was over, so I was just trying to get some shots off because I didn't think there was any way I was kick it out.
I'm not being critical. I'm
Okay.
yeah. Technically, this is why you have your gun out when you're running back until you actually have people that you can interact with. Here, you do have someone you can interact with, but you got yourself stuck on this. So that's unfortunate.
Step right up. That'll do.
Okay. Immediately on Deanna. Okay.
Heroes never die. Your support has arrived.
That's fine.
Para reporting.
Hi there.
Thanks for the assist.
Hey.
Clearing the area.
Hello.
Damage amplified. You needed a doctor?
So you don't keep prefer beam. You don't keep prefer beam target for Guardian Angel on. You keep it off, and that's fine. It makes sticking with Pharahs a little bit harder if you do anything besides pay attention to the Pharah. But there's definitely room to do something besides pay attention to the Pharah here. Like, you're here. How's the rest of your team doing?
You needed a doctor?
I legit don't really know. Like, here you swap over to the Winston, but if we rewind here, I just don't really know how the rest of your team is doing, or if you need to break off to heal someone else, to triage them, to damage boost something else amazing, because you're sort of just staring at your Pharah the whole time. Which, you know, in this case, looks like that was fine. Looks like that was fine. Looks like the first time you seriously get a window that you'd want to do something else, you you do it. You could have probably been on that Winston a little bit faster because he's at a triageable spot right now, but something to be thinking, something to be a little more aware of. Because even though it didn't happen there, like you weren't looking to pay any attention to your team, you're just tunneling your Pharah, and that's something we want to watch.
So in that situation, should I wasn't sure if I should, like, her res timer was almost up, and it didn't seem like a good time to use the res. Should I have resed her there to get her back in the fight quicker, even though like the fight was over?
Yeah, so you have a decision to make, and what that decision to make is here you are. Do you think your team is going to get another stagger? Do you think it is very likely that your team is going to get another stagger?
No.
Okay, then you should res her. And the reason for that is you don't want them to be able to organize. So let me rephrase this. Let's look at when she actually went down. Okay. Her and Zarya went down at about the same time. Technically, Zarya went down after, but they went down at about the same time. So yes, it would be worth it to res her. If you'd taken Zarya out of the equation like 4 or 5 seconds later, she'd have time to set up, take positioning, but she won't right now if you don't res her. And I would rather not go, I would rather be able to take and hold a forward hold than have to go, hey, we have to wait for Ana, and we're really giving you a basically even fight. Like, I don't want to give them an even fight. I want to be able to take and hold the forward hold that's harder for them to push through, because we can tax them on the way in, we can fall back, we can tax them again. Like, it is worth it to let your Ana have time to go position up here, as opposed to she's running back and she can't really do that, or I mean, she can do that because of how this specific map is designed, but in general, when you lose someone at the same time on the other side, if the one person, if it's like, hey, this is the only person that would need to be rezzed, or this was the last person that went down, and they had someone that went down at the same time and or didn't go down multiple seconds after, it can be worth it to go for the res, because it lets you set up it lets you have more of an advantage in the next fight based on your positioning. You're not giving up your defensive positioning advantage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. This is an example of a thing that you don't actually Guardian Angel to. Like, it was too hot, and you probably should have known it was too hot in terms of there's too much red stuff around here. You're just going to have to wait for Guardian Angel to come back before you can get out. We don't really like it. Tracer's on her own.
Wait for it. I could use some assistance.
Daher wieder.
Ich bin da.
Come out and face me.
Huh.
I think I hit spacebar too early or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
why
I was
that.
going to say that should have worked.
Rocket barrage. You should be at peak performance levels.
Okay. I would like...
Is there a correct thing to do when it comes to Pharah's barraging as far as damage boost
Yes.
versus healing?
The correct thing to do is heal, and I saw you started on damage boost for just an instant before you swapped to heal, and the reason I didn't bring it up is because I saw you immediately swap to heal, but I was wondering if that was from the flash. The correct thing to do is almost universally going to be to heal, and the reason for that is if you understand how Pharah's missile barrage works, it fires out missiles, and it fires out a ton of missiles. It fires out like bunches of little missiles that each do a fair amount of damage, but it fires out, a barrage of them. And the thing is, while it takes Pharah a fair amount of time to eliminate someone from when she starts her barrage to when they get eliminated, the reason for that is because there's the travel time from the first missile getting out of her shoulder cannons to that missile getting to the player. You with me so far?
Mhm.
The thing is, there's almost no difference in time between the first missile and the second missile hitting, the second missile and the third missile hitting, or the third missile and the fourth missile hitting. There's a lot of time to get from 0 missiles hit to 1 missile, but there's not much time at all to get from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Still with me?
Yeah.
So Pharah does a stupid amount of damage with her missiles, and you damage boosting does not make the first missile get there faster. But you being like, I'm damage boosting them, so you eliminate them with missile 3 instead of missile 4, or missile 5 instead of missile 6, is not a very big difference. Whereas she's rooted and she desperately needs help survivability wise. So the right answer is almost always to be healing her, because you're changing it from like missile 4 or 5, to missile 5 or 6, eliminating somebody just isn't really going to be worth it with how that works. Now, if you're getting really technical, you can do the, okay, I'm gonna try to maybe do like a tiny bit of damage burst at exactly the right time and be healing the rest of the time, etc. But no, the real answer is you basically just hard heal her, because of the big thing that, the damage boost that which she would need would really be a speed boost to the first missile, and you can't give her that.
Gotcha.
Get back.
Why did you drop? I guess it's not going to be the end of the world. Yeah.
I'm taking care of you.
Yeah, I'm just not clear on why you GA'd here rather than just let yourself slow drop. Or GA to a better target, take your pick. Okay. So we can get into more here, because we've still got a bit of time, but the things that jump out at me in terms of things for you to work on are still mostly going to be you let yourself get into too much danger. Like, you as Mercy go into situations that are too dangerous that you don't have to, without a way to make them a little bit safer. Like that res at the end of the first round would be an existential example of that. It was the end of the round, so I don't care, and I'm not making it a serious example, but like it would be one example of that. The going over for the tracer to your left early in this round would be an example. The going for the tracer early in the first round would be an example. Like, you put yourself in the going for the Winston in the first round as an example. You put yourself in more danger than is warranted for the amount of help that you provide. If you can't find a way to get yourself some semblance of safety while helping something, it's generally not going to be worth it. Now, you do have to find ways to contribute to the fight, but even if you have to settle for, well, shoot, I'm going to damage boost my Ana rather than go in there to damage boost my Winston, when there's just nothing resembling safety, not even airtime or height to protect me, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to look real hard for something else that I can do, but I am going to just, sit here and damage boost my Ana if that's what I have to do until a better opportunity comes along. I'm not willing to put my life in the level of risk that you're willing to put your life in to get value, be that healing or damage. So like, you need to look for a little bit more cover. You don't need like 100% safety, but you're playing at like 30% safety is enough, and I want you to play it like 45-50% safety is enough. I want you to crank that up a little bit for what you're willing to go into in terms of danger of a situation, or threat level of a situation. So like, that is going to be the bigger thing, the big gist thing that we're seeing here. We obviously talked a little bit about some of your micro and how you can better weave to get a little bit more value out of your heals versus damage. We had the one res, but I think you were trolling me, so we're not going to talk about that anymore. And then we had what your actual pocket priority was, which was, hey, the McCree's fine. The Widow is much better than you think, but those are kind of the things I come in on here. And again, the far and away biggest would be you need to value your own life more, and you need to put yourself in a little less danger to get work done. Like, even if it's like with this person boosting them, I can provide 8 units of value versus but I put my life in, I don't know, let's say 70% danger, and by boosting this person, I can provide 4 units of value, but I only put my put my life in only 30% danger. Well, let's go with the 4, please. Okay, that's a weird way to describe it, perhaps, but that is going to be the biggest thing that I'm seeing for you. The next thing really is going to be from there. Okay, let's clean up some of your micro stuff a bit. Yes, we could talk about switching targets faster in some triage situations, like grabbing that tracer when the tracer is accessible. Similar stuff with the D.Va and the Ana. But the bigger thing, we could talk about those triage things, but it's definitely a much smaller thing compared to this life safety thing. And then we could also talk about, this weaving to get a little bit more in terms of staff value out, just eking out a little bit more here and there. But I really would make the big one this. Do those make sense to you? Do you have questions about those?
No, I know that's an issue. I die too much on
Okay.
Mercy.
I'm glad you recognize that. Do you think you understand like how to make that better? Did you like when you were seeing it? Did you recognize some of these things, like the Winston one where you zoomed into his bubble, where in hindsight you went, "Wait, what am I doing?"
Yeah, no, like there's always hindsight there. I just need to get more comfortable with staying put, and I think I'm not as comfortable just staying put and staying with cover.
So what you're saying is you need to go friend Crusher 99 here and have him pick Widowmaker, and you need to like play solitaire while he widows people.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so we've got 2 options. Either I can let you go here with the things that you have. 3 options really. I can let you go with the things you have. You can ask me questions either related to this or other Overwatch stuff if you're curious, or I can look at like, the first point or something of I think you gave me another replay code. So which of those would you like to do?
Sure, we can look at that first point.
Sure. Give me just a second to find it. Great.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a whole lot better at McCree, but I just couldn't aim for Pratt today, so.
All good. All good.
So I went Reaper.
Ready for battle. Ready for battle. Ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Okay. You're here. This is actually early. So here's the issue. Why is this early? And it's not because Widow happened to turn this way and see you.
Because their tank line isn't pushed up past.
Yeah, well, it's sort of that their tank line isn't pushed up fast. It's sort of that there's likely to be stragglers coming out. It actually has as much to do with your team isn't relevant yet. So, like, even if you do go back here and let's pretend you get an elimination on someone in the back, they're going to all turn around and eliminate you. Or you're going to Wraith and try to run away, etc. But, like, your tank line isn't really relevant yet. Your Reinhardt is still here. Their Reinhardt is still here. It needs to be a case that like their Reinhardt is like here or here before you're going in really makes sense, because their reaction time from their front line is going to be too fast. Like, and it's not just that they're close, it's that they don't have to pay attention to what's going up here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. I say as they have no reaction to you whatsoever. But hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's mid to low gold, so not
Fair.
as much reaction time as there should be.
I can't blame you for wraithing out here. But none of them
I was
are
getting real
looking at
nervous.
you.
Yeah, no, I was just getting really nervous.
I know, none of them are looking at you. The truth is you can probably go here for your reload, but you shouldn't be able to go there for your reload, so...
This will heal you.
No, you don't have Wraith. You cannot be this aggressive when you don't have Wraith form. You were able to be this aggressive when you did have Wraith form available, but you need to play more passively when you don't have Wraith form. So you could be playing more in a, hey, I used Wraith and now I'm in here and I'm angled out like this to apply pressure. Or I'm angled out like this to apply pressure. Or maybe I just play in my Rein's pocket and apply pressure from here, or apply pressure from here. Or maybe I teleport myself up to here and I shoot from up here. But you need to be more passive in your positioning when you don't have Wraith than when you do have Wraith. No. No. Go get the Mega Man. You've got 99 health. Okay. This was better. You don't have Wraith, and you play here. You're still contributing value. You're still contributing value. It's not as much value as you were contributing back when, you know, you did this play back here, but you're still absolutely contributing value, and you're doing so in a relatively safe manner while you don't have Wraith available. This is cleanup. Fine. Don't drop. Don't drop. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you're playing in sniper territory. You're pretty far separated from your Reinhardt. You don't have cover. The high ground isn't really cover right now because you can't back up on it to give you safety. You have to get over here before it gives you anything resembling safety, and it has stairs access like that. So it's just too aggressive without Wraith. Like, a lot of understanding Reaper is understanding the gear shift that you have to go through between having Wraith and not having Wraith, and what those gears look like in terms of exactly how hard you can ride them.
Death comes.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay. So really cool, except, again, they're back here, right? Like, your team isn't really gonna take a fight, and I don't mind that it's I don't mind that you have people gone. I mind that you have so many people gone. Like, this is like a 4v3, we'll call it. Like, if it was a 4v4, fine, but like, this is a 4v3. I'm not in love with that, and it's a 4v3 where you'd have to take people out in the midst of 3. If it was better split, maybe. Yeah.
Group up at my position. My ultimate is ready.
This time, I'll feel it.
Then with this, I just didn't realize how many people were dead.
Yep. Is this a panic queue? Panic queue?
So, I'll just take my death.
Okay.
Luckily.
Well, if you're going to take your death, do it on the card so the card doesn't move.
Rendezvous at my position.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
From the grave.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Gravity surge is ready.
Check on your team. Look at your team. Okay, that's going to do enough for you. And you're just going to blossom into it? Yeah. Was there any sort of communication on who was comboing? Because you definitely didn't need both.
No, I just
Okay.
heard the grab
Grab.
went in.
Yep. Oh, it hurts so
Yeah.
much!
Yeah. Yeah.
That which doesn't kill you.
No one can hide from my sight.
Don't necessarily need to push main like this. Yeah.
This is my will.
Checked sort of on the high ground. Which are you aiming at?
Oh, that's the point of a shotgun. Right?
No, no. Hold the corner. This is tough, but still winnable. No longer winnable. Can't pursue. Can't pursue. Okay. She just wasted sleep. That was nice of her.
Yep. I heard that mishap.
I mean, you can go support hunting like this, but remember, she can't out-heal you. Like, if you choose to melt tanks, she can't out-heal you. So, like, going, I'm gonna chase her down, it's okay. I don't hate it. But if you chose to just melt this Zarya that was in your face, there was no stopping you. This Zarya, excuse me. That's fine.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Cannot hold me. Repositioning.
My ultimate is fully charged. Get in.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
Triple kill. Clean kill.
Are we gonna crouch walk, or are we gonna make full noise? We're gonna make full noise. Okay. It's a little dicey, yeah. Go here for this. You weren't super stealthy and your team's pulled back. Are you aware at all that your team's pulled back? So here you are. Your team's there. They lost their Reinhardt. Yeah, just not enough awareness of sort of how much your team is pulled back. It's not your fault that your team is pulled back here, but okay, that's fine. Sure.
My ultimate is ready.
Much better.
I know, it's weird, but you shoot at the Hanzo, not the Reinhardt, if the Reinhardt is just going to shield there.
My ultimate is ready to be unleashed.
Back from the grave. From the shadows.
Enemy contact.
There's your crouch. I knew we'd get there eventually. Why are we not crouched? There's like no rush for anything that you're doing right now. Okay, now you're gonna go chew out the back line. It's probably early. It's not probably early. It is early. Like, you have immortality, and she's using a beam weapon. She doesn't, like, insta-gib you. It's not like you're fighting an Ashe or something like that, where, oh, unexpected damage. So you can trade out for more here, and this Meg is going to give you full.
I'm good to go.
Play your angle.
Graviton surge is ready.
Огонь по готовности. My will.
No, you're not going to end this here. Okay.
No one can hide from my sight.
Yeah. So we really were looking to get more over here, less here, because even though it's like, oh, this juicy Anna, again, when we don't have the Wraith, we have to play a little more with our cover in mind, a little more with the I can still provide value while being fairly conservative with my life.
Fire at will.
that's going to be the end of that.
Complete.
So the biggest thing really is to understand the, hey, I want to go ahead and really have a gear swap where I can play pretty aggressive, not so aggressive that I just instantly force my Wraith every time that I've got Wraith available, but I can play it like a 7 out of 10. A 10 out of 10 is going to get your Wraith forced immediately, but I can play like a 7 out of 10 aggression-wise to go try to do things, to go, take off angles, etc. Like what you did is you sort of had one play style. How do I want to describe this? Yeah, we'll go here instead. You kind of had one play style with your Reaper, by and large, where you went on these, what we'll call short flanks, where it's like, hey, I go through here for this short flank, or I repeatedly go through here for this short flank, or I think you went through here for this short flank. And that is a Reaper playstyle. That is a thing that Reaper does. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's not a problem. But we don't only do that. We're also perfectly happy to go, hey, our Rhines are fighting each other. I'm going to, instead of like coming in behind them, like actually trying to circle behind their back line, I'm maybe going to post myself on an angle and do some real poke work from here that makes their front line very uncomfortable. Not I'm circling all the way in on their back line, but I'm here and I'm making their front line very, very uncomfortable type work. Or I'm here and I'm making them very uncomfortable type work. Like that's okay, and you can sort of stay in that for longer than you can go for some of these flanks that are like I get something or I don't, and if I don't, I'm out of the fight and I got some value because people turned to deal with me and that was fine, but I have this other playstyle available. So I want like the flexibility to hit that playstyle, but I also want you to understand, hey, when my flank didn't get work done, I'm going to have to play. I almost have to play this playstyle that Temporal is talking about, and I play a slightly more passive version of it, where instead of maybe if the other Reinhardt is here and I'm playing here, I have to play like okay, maybe I'm forced a little bit back to play in my Reinhardt's pocket, where I'm a little bit more with my Reinhardt, or I'm a little bit more holding a corner that they then have to push into, and I like have full cover against their front line, and I'm less up here where I could get turned and shot at, etc. So like that's going to be the thing that I would want you to have sort of the most Reaper understanding there, because that's sort of your bread and butter for Reaper. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Do you and then the second thing that I would work on Reaper is when you are doing these flanks, come on, man, crouch. Like what? Like there's no rush. There's no rush whatsoever to reposition around what's going on here. Do your little crouch duck walking thing. Like just do it. There's no reason to be loud. Remember, Reaper has pretty loud footsteps because Blizzard thinks he's particularly dangerous for some reason. Okay. Then I think we're good to go. And unless you have any questions for me, I'm going to call it there.
Nope, that is perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. I hope you've got enough to implement here between your Mercy, your Reaper. Please try to implement these things one at a time. Don't try to do them all at once. And I definitely gave you one big thing and then two more minor things for the Mercy, so I really would put the focus on your big thing there. Cool.
Cool. Sounds good.
Talk to you soon, man. Good luck with the climbing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.